Okay, so I will call to order this meeting of the Greenfield School Committee Budget and Finance Subcommittee at 12:03 on Wednesday, January 8th, 2025. We have a pretty simple agenda here today, which is simply to go over the budget guidelines that we spoke about previously, which is based on the outreach that the subcommittee did and previously in regards to the FY26 budget development. But first we have public comment. So is anyone present for public comment? Not seeing anyone. So I will move on to the next item, which is our only other item on our agenda for today. All right, so we're looking to discuss the guidance document that was shared in the materials for FY26 budget development. Has everyone had a chance to review that? Because if not, I will take a pause so that people can do that.
I have, but I'd like an additional minute if possible.
Okay, let's take an additional 2 minutes and go ahead and review.
I have reviewed. I don't know if anyone else is.
Anyone? And do you need any more time?
Nope, I've read over it a couple times.
Okay. All right. So having given that, oh, Karen, I was going to share my screen, but I don't think I have that capability enabled. Are you able to enable that?
Can you try now, Kate? I think you should be able to.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you. Okay, there. Okay, I just wanted to put this up on screen for anybody in attendance or that might be looking at this later. And of course, this will be available later on as well. So it starts with an overview here, which is to explain the purpose of the document. So as we discussed last month, there are many other school committees that provide guidance like this to their superintendents in regards to budget development. And we considered examples from various other committees. And there is certainly quite a wide variety in this. I think that this document is useful because it is concise and to the point. We certainly saw some examples that were very long. And I think it's better to have something that is more contained, especially since in this kind of day and age, we live in the too long, didn't read era. So uh, I I hope that this will be something people will read all the way through and be able to digest easily. So we have the overview here at the beginning explaining that this provides the community with information about what the committee's priorities are. for the development of the operating budget, and also provides guidance to the superintendent and the administration as they're working to develop that budget proposal. And then down below, we have bulleted here for people the priorities that we as a subcommittee gathered through our outreach efforts that took place during the month of November and the beginning of December, and that we discussed at last month's budget and finance meeting. So these seem to fit into these 4 categories: curriculum and instruction, staffing and volunteers, PD, and transportation priorities. And this distills the nice amount of feedback that we got from doing that outreach and listening. And I'm not going to go over it because we already talked about all of these in detail at our last meeting. And then at the end is some assumptions and guidance to help just lay out what are not particular to FY 26. These are things that we would take into account no matter what year it was, but things that are still important to say in the development of the budget. So it explains that we're going to make a budget here that provides adequate resources, that meets all legal mandates, that meets our collective bargaining agreements, contractual obligations, and things like that. And that will make the best use of available information about certain things that we don't necessarily know until a certain point in the process, like Chapter 70 and circuit breaker programs and grants and things like that. And finally, I thought it was important to just lay out in a simple way what our budget planning policy requires of the school committee here at the end. So we've talked a lot about this policy DBD budget planning but over the last few months, because this is what we've been working to implement in a more engaged, streamlined, organized kind of a way. So I just thought it was important to lay out these pieces at the end about what we need to carry out here in budget planning. Does anyone have any suggestions? Are there any edits or additional things that you think need to be in here?
Guess something that is in the assumptions but doesn't really show up in the priorities is more of the prioritization of most economical uses. So
Which number are you talking about?
let me see. Number 6 under assumptions and guidance,
Mhm.
which I would say rather than just an assumption, we're about to head into a really lean financial time. And I guess the way that the priorities are laid out, we don't really have like, okay, like what percentage of resources will go to each priority in a way that is a missing piece of guidance, if that makes sense to anyone.
I'm not making complete sense of that. Do you mean that we should suggest that X% of resources go to
Well, I'm not saying we
one
need
of
to
these things?
lay it, I'm not saying we need to lay it out, but uh, I, I would like something a bit more concrete in our priorities that we are making, taking an active look at finding ways that we can save money rather than just here are the things we are tossing money at this time, if that makes more sense.
I hear what you're saying. My point of view on that would be that doing our best to reduce cost and shift cost as needed in order to conserve funds is something that's always done. And the always done things are down here.
Well,
Whereas
so
this,
here's where I got tied up because a lot of the number one seemed like it was the always done. Like, of course, we're always going to be looking for high quality instructional materials and curriculum kind of thing.
so I would actually disagree with that one because we have made specific purchases of instructional materials over the last, correct me if I'm wrong, Karen, I think 3 years. And
Correct.
so this is to support specific materials that we made an investment in recently and that require additional purchases now in order to replace consumables. And Karen, am I missing anything in what I just said?
No, that is accurate.
Okay, I guess it's
So
just
I see that one as specific to.
well, I guess for the curriculum and instruction, it seemed like it's a lot of continuing too. So, okay, I think I get what you're saying now.
So as part of 3 years ago, when we started doing the adoption under our SSOS district prioritization plan, they have to be specific high quality instructional materials aligned under DESE's mandates. So I think that's where the specifics in curriculum and instruction lies, that we have to continue to invest in those based on our initial pilot and grant funding, but that the continued investment in them is a budget cost. And then we have to also look at the areas of content where we haven't adopted high quality instructional materials yet and continue to invest in that as well under our district prioritization plan.
Okay, so have we adopted elevation yet, or is that new?
It is soon to be adopted. And Dave Messing's office is looking into that as another additional resource to assist our L population.
Okay, I think what was tripping me up is that the first one is the continuing to fund and support, and then the others were things that I knew were in various degrees of progress, so I wasn't sure what was new versus what was continuing, if that makes sense for where I was getting tripped.
Would it be helpful to say what these specific material, like name them in this item? Would that be less confusing? Sorry, I'm trying to highlight here.
Well, I think it's not the needing to name them specifically, more of needing to have the where we currently are now kind of thing. Like to continue and to fund and support these, base, well, we don't need a full paragraph about it, but it's really so the elevation platform we've already started to invest in, correct? Or not yet? So this is
Not
new.
yet.
Okay.
Elevation, the K-5 science is 5th grade is being launched, I believe, in 2025, and then they
Oh,
are
okay.
still waiting to develop K-4 units. So it could be a 3 to 5 year process before the whole science Open SciEd is actually created and outsourced. And then we have ongoing SEL changes between the second step that we use right now, but also the addition of the restorative practice work that we're going to be incorporating. So those would be, a potential future investment once we have that committee making some determinations.
Okay. So I think it's the order of the bullet points that were tripping me up so much because we have continue, then new, then review and possibly revise. So that would be more of the continuing, and then we're back to new things, and then back to continuing with the maintaining. So I think that was so I think it was a formatting and ordering. So I think for me, it would have been helpful for them to be in the groups of adding new versus maintaining and continuing, if that makes sense. Because with the way that they were listed, it made it difficult for me to tell what was in progress versus what was brand new.
Okay, so I would still want to see these in the categories that they are in. But I think it would be fine to order within the categories, starting with what is existing and moving to what is new. Would
Mhm.
that be helpful?
Yes, it would.
Okay. Okay.
And my dog has
So
opinions, so sorry if you hear him in the background.
it's okay. So okay. We could also and again, Karen, tell me if I'm missing something, but we could also amend this and say that we'd like to continue to fund and support the CKLA Amplify and Illustrative Math high quality instructional materials recently adopted by the district.
Yeah, we could name the curriculums that we have adopted thus far.
That would make it less vague and more clear that we're talking about specific materials here.
I just worry because we also used Eureka Squared, and if at some point, well, I guess this is for FY26, so that might be the caveat out of it, though. If we decide to switch and go all illustrative or move 5th grade from illustrative to Eureka in the redistricting, does it matter if it's identified that specifically here?
Well, what if we just add the phrase such as?
Here we go.
That
Thank you.
covers us.
Okay. Okay, so we'll say to continue to fund and support high quality instructional materials recently adopted by the district, such as CKLA Amplify and Illustrative Math. Okay. Okay, so and that would be, I'm just analyzing here in terms of what's existing and what's new. So this is a continuation. The next two things are new things. This is existing. So we could move this item up to be the second one.
Mhm. And then the art and music would be the other existing.
It is existing, but this is talking about expanding them if possible. So that's kind of new. So maybe that should
It
go
is new,
in
but
between.
yeah, it is a good link because it's going from the expanding to the new.
Okay. Okay. So this will be the third item. And these two things are new. And then this one is not in any of those categories really, because this is something that we have had before, we don't have right now, we would like to have again.
It'd be
So
a
maybe that can
returning.
just be the last item.
For me, that goes in the new category because it would be
Okay.
not the continuation of a program that is currently existing. That's at least
Okay.
the way my brain organized it.
Okay.
And we might
All right.
even want to add the word new into the science and the elevation. Well, not elevation because, I don't know, because that I'm just trying to think what would make it as crystal clear as possible to anyone coming in off the street and reading it.
Right here to invest in and adopt new high quality instructional materials and for K-5 science.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
And if that is above the elevation, then that would imply that the elevation platform is new to the district as well.
Okay. So we can add that right here.
I
You
feel
see
like I'm
where
being
I'm saying,
so
Karen?
nitpicky. I apologize.
No, I want this document to be really clear to people. And this is the first time that we're doing this. So I'm a big fan of doing things right the first time. So thank you. Karen, are you seeing where I highlighted
Yeah, and we're just inserting new.
new in between right there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And you got the reorder?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right. Now, okay. I think staffing and volunteers is already in this order. Because the first item is to maintain a level of staffing to continue to provide small, educationally appropriate class sizes. The second one is to consider additional resources that might be necessary to fill the need for substitutes. So that may involve additional, I would say goes in the new things category. And increasing, obviously we already have some resources for substitutes and we may need more. So that's another kind of linking item between current and future, I think. And then the last item is to increase and support volunteers in the district.
Yes, and also the ordering, it isn't as important to me in the other sections as curriculum and instruction, because curriculum and instruction was where there were the most moving pieces.
True.
And, in the others, there's a little bit more detail of what exactly we're looking at.
True. Okay. Okay. Do you have any, whoa, sorry. Do you or Elizabeth have any suggestions in regards to the order or the wordage in professional development?
I think it's really clear.
My only thought, and again, I'm being super nitpicky, I think I would want to have the bullet point about the resources to support staff in the English learner population up higher because it is the most directly academic,
Okay.
if that
So
makes sense.
this item first.
And now this is just because people are going to read it and they're going to say, oh, but only one of these is explicitly academic and it's buried down here. So I think the document will be better received if the very first bullet point is the most academic. Because of course teachers do academic professional development that makes them a better teacher, but sometimes people don't see the link right away, if that makes sense.
Okay. Karen, you got this piece. This is going as the first item under PD.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
And I really
Additional
like,
suggestions?
oh, I was just going to say that I really like that the last bullet point is the CPAC one, because that is where we broaden out to the full community. So I was just thinking of the strategy of where the bullet points fell. Sorry, I am being so nitpicky. I apologize that I'm making it difficult for everyone.
You're making it beautiful in the end. That's what you're doing. All right, and there's only one item under transportation, so no ordering there. But if you have input about the wording, anything?
That's solid.
I feel like the mere fact that this exists is wonderful
Okay,
and
I agree.
showing real growth and progress towards transparency with the public and towards advancing the priorities of the community. I have never seen a document like this in my years, the school committee. So hooray and thank you. It's beautiful.
I am very glad to join our peers around the Commonwealth who have been doing this for years. And I think this is it. it's concise. It's only 2 pages. I think the layout on the page is very digestible because the 3 sections are just clearly spaced out. They are not too wordy. They get right at the most important things. What is this for? It reminds people of our strategic plan. It distills all of the feedback that we got through outreach very concisely, but I don't think it has missed anything. And it reminds us of our duties in the process,
The
finally.
only
Which,
thing I would say that it missed from the schools I talked to were more of the physical building requests and field trip requests.
so I don't think that physical building things should be in here because a lot of that has to do with capital, and capital and the operating budget are 2 different things.
Okay. I just was
Oh,
asking that now so that we'll have the answer when people ask us why wasn't that there. And then the other thing about the field trip or bringing in the special opportunities in lieu of field trips. Like I know the
that's
preschool wanted
true.
to bring in like, the entertaining educators in place of field trips. And I'm not sure where that would fit in.
Karen, would that fit in curriculum and instruction? Or do you have a thought about that?
Um, we could certainly tie it to curriculum and instruction because we would want those opportunities to be linked to standards that students are learning. So we could add it as the last new if you would prefer.
Okay. All right. Can we word it like this last piece?
Yes, I like the maintain and expand.
I think that will keep it simple for people. So to maintain and potentially expand opportunities for uh how would you word it, Karen?
Um, activities, assemblies, presentations aligned with curriculum and standards-based learning, something of that.
Sounds solid.
Thank you. All right. Good. And we have room here, so that is not going to push this past 2 pages. So that's good. Okay. Darn it. I thought it had missed nothing. Is there anything else you think has been missed that we talked about?
I think you thematically covered it all.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you for spearheading this and making sure that everybody's voices were heard.
Thank you both for all of the footwork and doing this outreach effort. It was a lot. So I think that is really I don't know. I think probably it's an unsung job for you guys because there's probably not too much attention, I guess, that people pay to that sort of thing. But I really appreciate it because this year I feel like our discussion about budget development is now firmly connected to stakeholder input here. And not that there's not plenty of room for expanding on that in the future, but this was a first year effort at doing this, and I think it was done pretty well. So I'm very happy with how this has turned out here.
Yeah, it took additional time and work, but I do think that continuing as an annual thing to go and meet with the PTOs is important because for whatever reason, there are people who have lots of opinions that don't bring them to our meetings and don't email them, and that doesn't make their opinions less valuable or important.
I could not agree with you more. It's a lot to ask people to go to their PTOs and school councils and attend school committee meetings and subcommittee meetings and city body meetings and all kind. People don't have time to do that, especially busy working parents. So, yeah, I think we have to put ourselves where they are in order to hear them, and they deserve to be heard. So, any additional suggestions? Okay. So, I think I am going to move that we recommend to the full school committee the adoption of this with our edits. I'm terrible at making motions. Oh my gosh. That we approve the proposed priorities and guidance for fiscal year 2026 budget development with edits as discussed to the full school committee at the next meeting.
I'll
which is
second it.
Second.
Oh.
Double
Amber.
seconds.
A double second. I wonder if this vote will pass.
Okay, so I'm a yes.
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 Okay, very good then. So we will bring this to everyone at the committee meeting, and my hope is that we will be able to put this in place so that it is there just in time to be useful to the superintendent and coming forward with a proposed budget very soon. The season is upon us.
It sure is. Thank you.
Okay. I will move to adjourn.
I'll
Second.
second. No.
Double
Oh,
second.
Double
Elizabeth
seconds.
beat you this time. All
Yep.
right. I say yes.
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 Okay. We are adjourned at 12:35 p.m. Thank you everyone so much for all your hard work.
You're welcome. Lovely to see you all. See you in a few hours.
See you. Bye.